Hello, weirdos. Welcome back to my channel. My name is EmmaAbe. We talk about books because we a bunch of nerds. All right. So again, it's hot. So fan, that is what you hear. I need to cool off. I also have to do this kind of fast because I have to leave in like 30 minutes. So today, what we're going to be doing is a haul because last weekend, at least as of the time of filming, I bought books. I know. So terrible. I got one from an estate sale, which I'll tell you, and then one we went to House of Hope. So just, on the whole BookTube consumerism conversation, which I'm not going to be talking about right now, there is a way where you can buy books that are not full price and save money. So let's just get into it. Most of these books I did get from House of Hope. One, and I'll tell you when we get to it, I got from an estate sale. So the very first one is a play. This is Inherit the Wind. This is by Jerome Lawrence and Robert E. Lee. Hopefully it's not that specific one. This is a play about a teacher who was thrown in prison arrested. Excuse me, I don't remember all the fine details. Arrested because they were teaching evolution in the South, and a lot of people got really, really mad, saying it was against religion and you can't teach that. I read this my freshman year of high school and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the interesting discussion about religion and science was really interesting to me. I was going through a lot of stuff then regarding all of that, and I really, really like the end and like the conclusion that I came to. This does have an audiobook, or I'm sure you could find like the actual play, but yeah, I don't own a lot of plays, and I really enjoyed this one. Oh, also, in terms of audiobook information, I don't have a lot of that with me right now, because I do not have time to look that up before I started filming, just because, again, I have to leave leave the state in like 30 minutes. I don't have a lot of time to be talking about all of this, so I'm going to try and go a little bit fast. So the next book I got is The Lost City of the Incas. This is obviously about Machu Picchu. I find Machu Picchu to be so beautiful and so interesting, and I think this is going to be very anthropology centric. There's lots of dense text and pictures. I think it's kind of sad because we're not going to be able to see Machu Picchu for like a very long time. So if you want to go visit soon, just because of like the erosion of people like moving around there. I think Machu Picchu and just Incan culture is very interesting in general. This next book is Teacher Says, 30 Foolproof Ways to Help Kids Thrive in School. This is by Evelyn, Porreca, Vuko. I got this because obviously I'm going to be a teacher / I'm a teacher. I've taught before. Teaching is what I'm going to be doing long term in terms of how I'm going to be making my money. I thought this book is going to be very, very helpful in terms of how I can exactly be like the best teacher I can be and help my students thrive and be the best that they can be. So that is why I got this book. This next book is called Complications, A Surgeon's Notes on Inpatient Science. This is by Atul. Gawande. Yeah, this is all about medicine and science. I don't know what else to say about this book. It sounds really, really interesting, and I think like the medical field and like doctors is very interesting. The next book is Reading Lolita in Tehran. This is by Azar Nafisi. This honestly plainly looked really, really interesting to me. I think that it's going to talk about women's education and all of that. I think that Lolita specifically is a very, it says it's a memoir and book, so I think it's going to talk about more than just Lolita, but I think it's going to be very interesting to talk about what it is like to be a woman in Tehran. There's not much else to say about this book. I'm excited to read it. This next book, oh, look at that. That's someone's flight information. Must have bought this on a flight. This next book is A Long Way Home, A Boy's Incredible Journey from India to Australia and Back Again. This is also made into a movie, so what I remember from like the movie trailer is that this young boy was lost when he was about 5. He was lost on a train. He was adopted by an Australian family and then figured out that like he was adopted. Something happened where he realized that he wasn't exactly not wanted. So his family did want him. He was just lost and they've been looking for him this whole time. And he tries to find his way back to his family in India. I just thought this was an interesting book. This next book is Evil, The Science Behind Humanity's Dark Side. This is by Julia Shaw. This just sounds really, really interesting to me. What prompts humans to do the evil things that we do? It sounds like a very sciencey book. It sounds like a very interesting book and a book that is a lot up my alley, and I cannot wait to read it. The next book is called When Baghdad Ruled the Muslim World, The Rise and Fall of Islam's Greatest Dynasty. I think this is just going to be straight up history. I don't know a lot about Baghdad or the history of Baghdad, and I think it would be really, really interesting for me to learn more about like Islam and like the history of Islam. I think this is going to be a really, really interesting, fun read to learn more about Baghdad. I don't have much to say about these books because I literally look at them and I'm like, that looks interesting. I'm gonna buy it. I don't really do much research beyond that, especially in places like House of Hope where everything is like $1 to $2. Anyway, the next book is Wild Things, Wild Places, Adventurous Tales of Wildlife and Conservation on Planet Earth by Jane Alexander. That looks interesting to me. I like nature. I like reading about nature. I like reading about science. And I think reading about like wild species and like efforts to help conserve them would be really interesting. That's why I got this book. This next book is Hymns of the Republic, Stories of the Final Year of the American Civil War. This is by S.C. Gwynne. I have another book by S.C. Gwynne up where you cannot see it, called The Empire of the Summer Moon. It's all the way up on my top shelf. It was all about the Comanche and why you shouldn't fuck with the Comanche, essentially. And I really, really enjoyed it. So I figured that I would pick up another book by S.C. Gwynne, and yeah. Also, I just find the Civil War to be a very, very interesting time. You guys have no idea. So next is Where the Past Begins. This is by Amy Tan. I think this is like a memoir of Amy Tan's memoir about like her life and her family, and I really enjoy Amy Tan's fiction, aka I really enjoyed the Joy Luck Club. I wanted to know more about her, so that is why I got this book. The book that I got at the estate sale. They didn't have a lot of books. They only had like mostly kids books there, which is fine, you know. Estate sales can kind of go in many different directions, just kind of like any garage sale or anything like that can go. But I thought this one looks interesting. This is a book about the French Revolution. Who is it by? It doesn't say. By the editors of Horizon magazine. So this is kind of like an older book, but it's got like illustrations and text. And I figured that this looked relatively interesting and I would give it a go. This is the only book that they had there that piqued my interest. Moving on to the last book. This is a book that I got in House of Hope. This one I'm pretty sure does not have a audiobook because comics tend to not, or graphic novels tend to not. But anyway, this is Inhuman Traffic. This is the international struggle against the transatlantic slave trade. This is by Rafe Buffarb and Liz Clark. Yeah, so it's going to be about, you know, the slave trade. It's going to be really intense. Here is some images. I'm really interested to see kind of how they talk about that complex history of basically wanting to end the international slave trade and ending slavery in general. It's very, very complex and it's fairly short, but I saw it and I was like, yes, this looks interesting. I really kind of like history books kind of like this, and I decided that I would pick it up. So there you go. There you have it. There are all the books that I purchased at House of Hope last weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know which book you find the most interesting. Like, comment, and share all of that good things, and I will see you next week. Bye!